Hello and welcome to the second of my question and answer videos. This is where I answer your questions about my channel and my travels. I have my computer set up behind the camera so I can read the questions off of that, and I got some prompt answers underneath which will help me to answer your questions. Now, the questions are in no particular order, so let's get started with the first one. Raymondo Lee Travel asks, of all the places closed, which one do you wish was open the most? What a great question to start with. If I'm honest, I wish they'd all been open. I wanted to visit that castle in Livorno. The views from the towers overlooking the harbour and the town would have been really nice to see. It's quite an impressive castle and well preserved, so it's a great shame that that was closed. But I think to answer your question, it's the Museum of Michel de Nostradamus Museum in Salon de Provence, and it's the reason I visited Salon, because the house is where he wrote his quatrains. Those are the predictions, the rhyming four-verse rhyme, which contained his predictions for the future. So yeah, really gutted about that one. MrCDM asked, do you spend time every day planning and researching, or just leave it to weekends and days off? Well, I work on my channel every day of the week after work. There is just so much to do. I have my to-do list, so any job that needs doing gets written on that list, and I just work through it. At least an hour every day, sometimes two, as it's the only way to get the work done and to succeed. It's effectively a second full-time job. There is just so much that has to be done in order to bring you a weekly video. So yeah, it's constant work. Robert Arnfield asked, where is your favourite place to go for a weekend break and why? And have you bumped into any celebrities on your travels? That's a good question. I've got no favourite place as such. I do like Italy, guaranteed of finding some interesting history, usually Roman, some great architecture, tasty food, and the weather is pretty good as well, so I do like going to Italy. I just like to visit different towns and cities, discover somewhere different, so anywhere in Europe, subject to a budget, but I do like Italy and I hope to explore other regions, especially in southern Italy, but anywhere where there's some history that makes a really nice weekend away that's affordable. But Italy is always my first choice. And celebrities, well, I've spotted quite a few on my travels over the last 50 years. Remember standing next to the former cricketer Mike Gatting at Heathrow. He was collecting a lot of luggage, all his cricket bats and other sports equipment that he was carrying around with him. When I was living in Macau, I bumped into Judith Chalmers. She was making an episode of Wish You Were Here. It was quite fun to walk past her. Working at Stansted Airport, they're always filming something up there. Most airports you see in films and television programmes are usually at Stansted. And I remember going into the terminal to get lunch one day. There was a big hoo-ha as the cast of Love Island came through. So I don't know if you count them as celebrities. I'd never watched Love Island and I didn't know who they were, but a lot of people seem to be going wild for them. I've seen numerous celebrities in London over the years, just walking around, usually around Upper Regent Street towards the BBC and down the South Bank as well. But probably your question relates to the last 4 years since I've been making YouTube videos. James Martin is the only celebrity I've seen. He's the celebrity chef, and I saw him filming in Valencia by the market. I dare say I'll probably see others in the future. You never know, perhaps in the years to come, I might be a minor YouTube celebrity, and people will recognise me in the streets. And occasionally I do get recognised, usually in towns and cities where I have actually made a video, usually in Ipswich or Colchester. Jane Bass asked, what are your travel plans for the rest of the year? And are you enjoying your new home? Yeah, that's a nice question. I've had to change my travel plans quite a bit this year due to moving house, which I'm gradually settling into. I'm looking forward to flying from Luton, as it's just as close and just as easy to get to as Stansted Airport is. I'm currently in Swansea, filming a series around South Wales, and it's rather a wet and windy day, so but you'll discover that when the series comes out very soon. September should be Kosice in Slovakia and Budapest, and perhaps a coach trip down into Romania. I've got a weekend break to Bremen to look forward to, and I'm going back to Luxembourg City. So I'm looking at other destinations as well, but it all depends upon my budget and my work and my personal life. But I'm going to visit a few more UK destinations as well, and a few more videos to come from London, so I'm looking forward to making those. Travel Happy with Howard asked, do you prefer making travel videos or transport videos? And how do you balance making videos for 2 channels? That's a really brilliant question, Howard. I enjoy making both, to be honest. I love to travel and to document my journeys and the history of the places that I visit. For me, it's a lot easier to make travel videos, as I can take my time, just usually the whole day, just to make one video, just wandering around at my leisure, recording bits here and there, and it gives me plenty of time to enjoy the places that I actually visit as well. With transport videos, they have to be recorded there and then, basically. It leaves no room for any retakes. I can't really ask the train to depart a second time. They'll think I'm mad. Sometimes I just can't film due to the crowds, and that has happened recently, filming in London, so it is difficult with the crowds. And as for balancing the making videos for 2 channels, I can only realistically make about 50 videos a year. It's working around my full-time job, so planning what I do is the key to making the most of my time and to make the most videos that I can in that time. But I do tend to split the videos 50-50 across the 2 channels. So if you're not subscribed to my transport channel, then please do so. The link will be in the description of this video. Clive Marchant has asked 3 questions. The first of which is, apart from having a good laugh to camera, how do you deal with the disappointment when the museum is closed? Oh, great. I just do. I always expect the unexpected when I travel. It's a fact of travelling. Things are closed, and even here filming in South Wales, I found things that were closed. I'll spoil the series a little bit there, giving a little insight into what's coming, but yes, it does happen. I try and do as much as research as I can, but sometimes I just can't research everything, and certain websites don't get updated, and museums and things do have to close spontaneously for various reasons. But I do have a contingency plan, which is usually some quiet time for myself doing something else away from filming. So yeah, I just deal with it. I got used to it now. Second question, which Roman historical location is still on your travel wish list? Roman locations. Yeah, I do love my Roman locations. Timgad in Algeria, Palmyra in Syria, and Ostia and Pompeii in Italy, and also Herculaneum as well. They're all well-preserved Roman towns, former Roman towns. Caesarea in Israel has a well-preserved Roman circus. So does Rome, of course. So I want to get to Caesarea. There are numerous well-preserved buildings in Spain that I'm yet to visit. There's an aqueduct in Segovia, and in France there's Pont du Gard near Nîmes, and also Trier in Germany. There's an old Roman archway, so I want to have a look at that. So there's quite a few which I do hope to visit quite soon. Third question, what is your favourite historical movie? Oh, that's a question. Can I answer it? Is this a question that I can't actually answer? There are so many. You've got the war epics, Escape from Colditz, The Great Escape, The Longest Day, A Bridge Too Far, Operation Mincemeat, plus many others from the Second World War. You've got the Roman epics, which are just brilliant to watch, and the ones from British history, depicting the lives of Elizabeth I, Henry VIII, Oliver Cromwell, and other periods in history. Not to mention the numerous true crimes and historical events, all of which have been portrayed on film. However, there is one film which does stand out a little bit at the moment, and it's a film from the year 2000, and it's called 13 Days. It stars Kevin Costner, and it's about the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. It's a brilliant film, as told from the American political perspective. But when you look at the film or look at the activity surrounding the Cuban Missile Crisis from the Russian perspective, you start to understand how frighteningly close the world came to World War III and a nuclear war. Now, I won't get into too much detail, but the Russian submarine B-39 was a Foxtrot class submarine. It was equipped with T5 type nuclear torpedoes. Now, 3 officers all had to agree before a torpedo was fired. These 3 men were Captain Valentin Savitsky, political officer Ivan Maslenikov, and executive officer Vasily Arkhipov. Now, an argument broke out on the submarine prior to launching these nuclear-tipped torpedoes, and only Vasily Arkhipov said no. He was the man who stopped World War III back in 1962. The devastation from one torpedo hitting an American ship would have taken that ship straight out and the others around it as well, leaving the United States open to Russian attack. So a nuclear war would have been fairly inevitable. So, but cool heads prevailed from both sides, and the situation was calmed politically, as you see in the film. But what was happening at sea does make very interesting reading, and very frightening reading as well. The world could do with a few more leaders like Vasily Arkhipov. And it's interesting now, 60 years later, with the war in Ukraine, history is repeating itself with Russian aggression. So, yeah, I'll go with that film, I think, to answer your question, Clive. But there are, as I've said, so many good films with historical backgrounds to them. There really are. Growing on Vancouver Island asked, what exactly do you do for work? I wish I knew. I'd love to say that I was a content creator or YouTuber, but sadly I have a regular job. I work as a coach driver and trainer for National Express, which is England's largest coach operator. It's long hours, but it does pay quite well, and I can plan my holidays and my filming trips around my job quite easily, because I know almost 18 months in advance exactly what days I've got off, so I can plan in advance, which is really nice. But hopefully in a few years' time I'll answer that question and say, yes, I'm a full-time content creator, because that is my goal. Westcountry Wanderings asked, what do you like most about the experience of flying, and what do you dislike about flying in an aircraft? That's an interesting question from Paul there. It depends on which aircraft and class I'm flying in. Obviously I like to fly in business class or first class, but usually I end up flying in economy. And also depends whether I'm flying long haul or short haul. As for likes, I like getting somewhere long distance fast. I like the challenges of the travelling process. I like to leave early and arrive early at my destination, which means I don't lose too much of my holiday, and I can usually fit in a video on that first day. Some of the best flights I've had have been Hong Kong to London. Leave Hong Kong about midnight, 1 in the morning, and I'm landing with the time zones at 5 o'clock in the morning, just a few hours later, after a 13-hour flight, which is excellent. And I find airports exciting places, meeting different people. You never know who you're going to meet at an airport. I've had some great conversations with people, some of whom I'm still in touch with. Larger aircraft give you more legroom, better seats. I do prefer long haul flights, and I like the affordability of the low-cost budget airlines. And as for dislikes, well, I dislike budget airlines. Cramped seats in economy, overpriced snacks, screaming kids. Other passengers' behaviour is usually or can be hit and miss. Some of it's I've experienced quite unacceptable, unruly behaviour. It all depends who's sitting around you and next to you. I've had passengers who have had an unpleasant body odour, reeked of booze and fags. It's luck of the draw who you sit next to, but you can say that on about any aircraft or any train. And sometimes flying on a budget airline is like flying in a crowded tube train. But it does get you there, and the budget airlines do exactly what they say. They get you there, and they have very good crews and trained pilots. So, you know, you're in good hands with a budget airline. I've had some good flights, I've had some bad flights over the years, even on major airlines. But I don't like airport hotels, the constant noise of people leaving and arriving, talking loudly, banging doors. So I try to avoid them, and generally I fly early in the morning and fly back late at night. But generally flying can be fun, so I think there's likes and dislikes with all forms of transport. And the final question from my mother. And Maggie Goss asked, where did your love of travel come from? That's a good question, isn't it? I guess it comes from flying abroad in school holidays, comparing destinations with the other kids at school. Always like to hear about where they've been and what they did. I like watching programs like Wicker's World and Wish You Were Here and Michael Palin's Travels and Simon Reeves' Travels, and the various celebrities who have travelled around the world making travel series. And even like watching the repeats of Bernard Levin travelling around making his early travel videos back in the 1950s. They're still interesting to watch, some of the places that he went to. There's so much in this world to explore, and even locally. Perhaps just walking down the road to a church and discovering a famous person buried in the cemetery, a famous house in the village, or something else. You never know what you're going to find when you travel. And I just love traveling. These television programs and have taught me so much about travel and the world. So yeah, that's where my love of travel comes from. And I still, even though traveling is tiring, and traveling on aircraft is tiring, and getting up early in the morning is tiring, and 18, 20-hour days, even longer sometimes, in order to travel somewhere and bring you a video is worth it, because I just really enjoy it. So that is the end of this question and answer video. So thank you very much for watching. There is a previous question and answer video on my channel. I'll leave a link to that in the description and at the end of this video. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon for another travel video from somewhere else.